Welcome back to round 5 of Battle Hardened San Diego. I almost said San Jose. That was
San Diego.
that was a
No, you were
different
just giving it some extra verve.
San Diego. Yeah, we're back, folks. And boy, was that a great match last round. I'm looking at you like you were there.
That was a great one, and I love.
You were over our shoulder, weren't you?
I was watching some of it. I was watching a bunch of the rounds. There is a lot of interesting heroes out there. There's some prisms. There's some prisms up there at the top.
Prism, I believe.
I think two.
Are there two?
Bring in prisms.
Okay,
Nick Tag, Dalen Mack, both out there on prism.
Yeah, I saw
it
Nick.
Up.
I didn't see Caleb. Yeah, that's awesome.
So I'm excited to see. Maybe we'll get them coming up. But honestly, the talk of the tournament, as it often is in Swiss, at many of these.
Oh my gosh, every time.
But
especially down here in SoCal.
Yeah, for sure, and especially in San Diego.
Hit 'em, Sam.
Kano out there blasting people. We got 2 of them for you here. 2 of truly the best Kano players that I have ever seen play the game. Let's go ahead and check out the player profile for one of them. You might have heard of this guy. He is very famous in a digital card game, but in his physical card game realm, he also has made quite the name for himself here in Flesh and Blood. This is, of course, Majin Bay, one of the probably the iconic face of Kano at this point in our game. And
Without
he's
a
here,
doubt.
yeah, and he is here to take on the mirror, something that a lot of Kanos really like to play.
Majin Bay says, one thing that everyone should do at least once is play Kano.
He also said that the most important quality a card player should have is literacy. He's never learned how to read. It's been very tough. Yeah, good. This just in for Majin Bay. It's just all vibes.
Majin's dropping knowledge bombs on everybody.
It's not reading. It's just vibes, and that means for the rest of us, and for you and me here in the booth, for everybody at home, I would say that the Kano mirror also just vibes. There is no way, no way to understand. You can possibly hope to understand all the machinations of what's going on. This is just vibes, right?
But we are going to try to bring some enlightenment to this here.
This is table 1 as well, right? We're here table 1, turn 0 here of this Kano mirror. These are the 2 undefeated Kanos at the very top of the standing. So one of these players is looking to lock themselves into top 8. Looks like Majin Bay is on the play here. We're going to start things off banishing a Gaze the Ages and an Aether Arc. First turn of the game.
Looking at the equipment suite, I think I'm seeing double here, Sam. I literally am seeing mirror images, except for one difference. Majin Bay is showcasing a Marvel Kano, while Eugene Galipchak is showcasing his amazing Grade 1 Kano that has tears and rips galore. Love to see it, and I just love both of these players. They're so much fun.
Gaze the Age is going to be coming out from the banish zone here.
And I believe he resolved that Aether Arc first, correct? So Gaze the Ages is going to come back to hand and give Majin more fuel for the rest of this turn if he wants it. Do we like what we see? Let's see. I believe I see a red.
Oh, yeah, that's a wounded bull that's headed to the bottom. But that
was a wounding bull?
Yeah,
I didn't believe my eyes.
I'm pretty sure that was a wounded bull, so you have to imagine that these players are bringing a little bit of extra tech into these matchups here. The Gaze the Ages, of course, we're finishing the opt, and then it is going to go back to the hand. Interesting, we're going to have to watch the Alluvian Constellus closely throughout this game. That is a major sub-theme of what happens in these Kano mirrors in any of these matchups where Alluvian is present on both sides of the table. You want to get as many counters as you can while keeping your opponent off of those free staff activations.
And speaking of which, Eugene has already has gotten first blood in that race, I suppose. Blocking the Aether Arc, denying Majin Bay a Ponder token, I believe is the on-hit on the Aether Arc, if I'm not mistaken, and getting his first counter on Alluvian Constellus.
Now, of course, Majin just going to pass priority, which means Eugene has his first say in the matter. Eugene here seeing if he wants to do any blind Kanoing, but with Majin still having 3 cards in hand, it's kind of, again, seeing double. Eugene throws any arcane damage that is not tall enough, Majin would be able to get the counter on his Constellus, and thus the wheels on the bus go round and round.
The wheels on the Constellus continually tick up. So Eugene is in an interesting position here. I've been told that the Kano mirror, I've been told by players who play this mirror more than I do, that the Kano mirror can sometimes come down to, like, it's totally different than Kano playing in any other matchup, right? Sometimes the person who resolves the first Wildfire is the one that loses, because Aether Wildfire buffs all arcane damage for the rest of the turn. So it's not straightforward Kano play. There are a lot of really weird interactions when you start meshing these wizard spells and attacks with one another.
Now, interestingly, Majin here has the ability to continue to the turn because Eugene went ahead and did a blind Kano and finds the red Aether Spindle off the top. Rewarded for the behavior there is Majin Bay. So red Aether Spindle still on turn 0. And let's see if Eugene, how he wants to go ahead and try to respect this here. A little shake of the head. Not happy to see this come off the top of Majin Bay's deck.
No, certainly not. Aether Spindle is one of the power cards in these Kano mirrors because it gives Kano the most valuable resource he can possibly have, and that's information, Sam. Information about what is on top of his deck. He knows how many Kano activations he can go for. He knows how many blues he's going to draw up in his next turn. Yeah, information is king here.
AB2. Okay.
AB2 take 2. Going to go ahead and spindle it off. Looks like he's keeping one floating here.
Majin gets to look at the top 2 cards of those. Missed it. He's too quick. He knows exactly what he wants to do. We see the first Waning Moon activation on Eugene's side of the board. We have no more floating. Wow. Majin just goes ahead and covers it up.
Wow, that was already such an intricate turn 0. Majin Bay passing priority after Eugene threw out the Aether Arc. Majin was able to continue, which of course was that big red Aether Spindle, and Eugene only AB2 because he wanted to threaten the 3 damage. So at the end of it, when all is said and done, at the end of all things, Majin has put like 5 cards to the bottom of the deck with the pitch zone. Wasn't able to resolve an arsenal, got 2 damage across on Eugene, but Eugene was able to get 1 damage back on Majin, and now to start Eugene's turn, we're seeing a blue Voltic Bolt off the top. So if you're Eugene, you know, the Aether Spindle did allow Majin to go ahead and sculpt that next hand, but you're only down a life. You're both on 1 Alluvian counter, and now you are able to do the first moves where Majin is not going to be able to draw up at the end of this turn. So I have to wonder, maybe he's feeling like things could have gone even worse.
And perhaps more importantly, Majin was able to dig through so many cards of his deck. And in pretty much any mirror matchup, you want to find the power cards before your opponent can, right? And so maybe that's the way Majin is thinking about that turn 0. Eugene's first turn of the game, it's the Voltic Bolt. It was covered up by 2. I'm sorry, by 3. Overpitched by Majin Bay. So no damage leaking through. Majin gaining another counter on that Alluvian Constellus, which is going to inevitably give him free activations of Waning Moon. Eugene follows it up with Waning Moon for 2.
And that is going to be a pass from Majin here, just taking the 1. Eugene's going to go ahead and arsenal, the first arsenal of this game. So we're back on Majin's turn. Means he's going to be able to try to use that action point. Let's see if it's a potion. He took the words right out of my mouth. It is just going to be the Potion of Deja Vu. Pass priority with 1 card in the hand.
What a potion it is. This is going to allow Majin to pitch some really amazing cards, put them right back onto his deck, namely Tome of Fyendal, Tome of Aetherwind, and then banish them to Kano activations that he's probably already put on the stack by pitching all those cards that he's going to put back on top of his deck. This is Kano.
Pass priority is good from Eugene, so now it's time for him to use his action point to the best of his ability, try to put some pressure on Majin Bay. Going to be a Kano activation to start things off. Let's see, looking at the top, we're going to see a Gaze the Ages. That's a nice one.
Yeah.
Especially when Eugene still has an action point. So he still has the opportunity to just play a Wizard non-attack, resolve the Gaze the Ages, gives him information, and then comes back to fuel more. Oh, and it's another Gaze the Ages.
So the action point used on the Gaze the Ages from Arsenal, they're going to go ahead and see each other, these 2 cards are. So they're both going to go ahead and opt 2 and then head back to the hand. So this is looking to be potentially a nice big turn from Eugene.
So if Eugene doesn't like the 2 cards he sees right here, he's just going to put them to the bottom and do this again. If he does, there's no need to do anything further. And then, boy, howdy, he's going to have... This is so funny. It's kind of like... This is reminding me so much of Transcending. It's funny, because like the Gaze the Ages are seeing each other, then they're going back to the hand, just like as though they were Transcending.
Who knew Part the Mistveil was inspired by Kano?
When are we going to see Mystic Wizard? Or is that something the world is ready for, Sam?
I don't know if the world is ready for that. Wizard gets to play a card, and that's something that Gaze the Ages does quite well, like you're saying, to have them another whole set of blues that do things and come back to the hand. We are going to see here off the top, after those couple opts, a red Aether Quickening. That's going to go ahead and be pitched into no Crucible in the matchup, both players sporting the Waning Moon. So the Aether Wildfire here, we're seeing Majin do some pretty intentional pitching here. Pitched away that red Tome of Aetherwind, pitching away the Blazing Aether, so setting up a pitch stack of sorts with 2 blues to hang out there as well.
Aether Quickening, a really interesting card here. Normally something that doesn't have text on it, but if it were to deal more damage than its base, it would get go again and refund Eugene's action point. The irony here is that he doesn't the Kanos don't pack the Crucible of Aetherwave in the mirror match, so there's not really much chance of it getting over the top unless it's powered up by a Kindle or something like that. Eugene finding some really good cards here. We got Chain Lightning, and then we're also following it up with a Lesson in Lava, going to allow Eugene to tutor to the top of his deck. He's got one card left, so ostensibly he could resolve another Kano activation. That does, however, leave him really vulnerable to whatever's left in Majin's hand, which is, granted, only 2 cards in an arsenal, but, you know, when you're only starting at 30 life, it could be a real factor.
Pass. Okay. No search.
I have nothing.
Pass priority, no search. He's much happier leaving a bunch of blues on the bottom for later in this game, including a couple Gaze the Ages. So, yep, that is how the deck wants to be ordered. Not going to search with the Lesson in Lava, and that does speak to Eugene playing a bit of a longer game.
Yeah, and it's something that is just forced in these Kano mirrors. You can't go unga bunga, I guess, is the way Kanos usually play. It's like, get me down to 1 life, and then here I go, blow you up. One, because like you have so much time to set everything up because you're just chipping at each other one here and there. But here comes Wounded Bull. Not exactly a chip card, more of a chunk card.
Absolutely, that's a chunk card. It's going to go ahead and chunk away nearly a third of Eugene's life. That is going to take all the, completely come across. Eugene falling from 28 to 20. Man, it does, I got to say, I know a little part of me does feel good to see a wizard throwing down a Wounded Bull again.
Boy, howdy, this is a lot of reds in Majin's hand. He does have, I believe that's a Tome of Fiendal. No, that's the Wounded Bull that's faking me. I believe it's 1 blue, 2 reds in Majin's hand.
Perfect follow-up here from Eugene, though. Take that attack for 8, immediately use the action point, pitching away the Kindle to use a Tome of Fiendal from the arsenal here. Going to gain 5 life, no action point, but plenty of cards to pump into that Kano ability. Question is, what is the pressure Eugene is able to put on, especially if, as you astutely point out, Majin doesn't have as many defensive pieces in his hand to deal with arcane damage on the turn.
Now, the chances of Eugene like going for the kill here are pretty low unless he's somehow able to, especially after he found 2 reds on in his hand after that Tome of Fiendal. Let's see what we find, Eugene. The chances of him going for the kill here are pretty low because unless he's able to suss out exactly what is in Majin's hand, it's really, really risky to go for it, especially on your own turn.
We're seeing an Aether Flare of an unidentifiable color. Can't tell if it's the red or the blue. Kind of think it's the red. You were going to say blue?
I was going to say blue, but I trust you more.
No, Kano matchup is just vibes, dude.
Okay,
we don't care about color. We don't care about numbers. This is all vibes.
Your vibe is red. My vibe is blue.
I'm going to leave this here.
It comes out as yellow. We both leave.
Now, yellow Aether Flare. That would be some spice.
Attack. Here we go. Waning Moon now coming in.
Here, Wildfire and Blazing Pitch. And I match with my own. Maybe 2.
Players having a lot of fun, showing each other the power cards in the pitch zone.
Hilarious. And I match your Blazing Aether Wildfire Pitch with my own. But
I see you and raise you an Alluvian Constellus counter. How about that, Sam?
Absolutely, yeah. 4 to Majin, of Majin's to Eugene's 1 here. Those are going to be the pitch stacks being set up. Looks like he might be switching it a bit. Is Eugene maybe putting that Wildfire a little later in that second cycle? Both players expecting to get there, but after all that draw, Eugene still keeping a card in hand.
Majin sticking another important combo piece. It's a potion, energy potion this time. Possibly even more important than the Potion of Deja Vu, depending on the context. I mean, energy potion is just always good. Deja Vu kind of depends on the context of your hand.
Sounds good.
Get another Alluvian Constellus counter. Does Eugene here. He's going to head to the bottom of the deck, the pitch zone. Let's see what the play is here from Eugene. 22, Majin Bay, 25, Eugene Galipchak.
Both Consteluses are online now. Eugene finding a combo piece of his own in the form of a Neapot.
Let's see if we can check out exactly what we're working with. Right now, I'm seeing a lot of forearm. All right, we do see a Blazing Aether. Oh, we do see 2.
Oh, it was blue.
Wait, no, Blazing Aether and a Aether Flare.
Yes.
Okay.
The vibes were blue and
the vibes are blue. The block is hot and the vibes are blue.
Praise be.
Let's see precisely how Eugene wants to do this. You saw him keep, I think that probably that Blazing in the hand last turn. That must have been the card that he kept. Now it's going to head to the bottom of the deck.
Know what I have?
Here comes Waning Moon for 2.
2 floating, and as Eugene said, you know what I have. So if Majin does want to try to do something pretty major on the turn, he can really factor in all the pitch that Eugene has access to.
Now, this is a tense moment. Every single time you lay your cards on the I mean, this is the case for anybody playing against Kano. The second you lay your cards down on the table, you kind of just resolve yourself to,
Kinda
if
hope
I'm
you
dead,
get
I'm dead,
bulls
right?
and stuff.
It's such a tense moment every
then
single
either you
time.
It does
have
happen. It does happen.
Both players kind of commiserating about the inevitability of the Unga Bunga.
Take 2 from the Waning Moon. Pass priority. Pass is good. Majin Bey not going to do anything to Eugene's kind of face up 2 floating resources, and that's it. Both players, it seems like, still hoping to get to that second cycle on those pitch stacks.
Eugene breathes a sigh of relief. Now I wonder, because Aether Wildfire works for both heroes, I wonder if one of the defensive plays is just to kind of like sit on a Blazing Aether in your arsenal, even with like 2 resources floating, and then wait for your opponent to resolve it, try to pop off, and then just pop that down with Stormstriders on top of the stack.
I'm sure it's
Yeah.
happened a number of times. A second Wounded Bull, though, coming
What a
down.
fun piece of tech.
Yeah, it's fantastic. We've seen it pop up a little bit in a lot of these lists recently. Do well into the Prism games. You know, I think some Kanos are hoping to have a little bit of game into that hero, hoping to bring in some 7 and 8 power poppers to shore up some of that matchup.
And these Kano lists are so tight. You've got the sideboard slots to boot. We've got
yeah.
Ryan Brown, another exceptional Kano player who's been hanging out at the top tables, watching this match closely.
Take 5.
Blazing Aether on the block. 5 more damage is now the second time a Wounded Bull has brought Eugene Galipchak to 20. After the life gain from the Tome of Findall, we're going to go ahead and find another energy potion off the top.
Yeah.
Take 2 Illuvian counters off and shoot for 2 with the Waning Moon. How nice for Majin here, finding not only the E-Pot off the top, but that also converted those floating resources into 2 points of damage from the Waning Moon. Couldn't get better.
Eugene giving a nod of approval as Majin finds that E-Pod off the top. But he goes ahead and cleans up the Waning Moon.
Oh, one
Full
sec,
block.
sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
I'm sorry.
I should have said it louder. Okay, I'm good. Sorry about that.
Ordering the pitch.
Hey, it's not just hard for us to keep track of whose turn and what's going on. It's also tough for the Kano players. We're back to Eugene's turn, though, and he's using his action point for an Aether Spindle, the Information Getter.
Sounds like bad, like insurance ad. Aether Spindle, the
Get the information.
information getter. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't say it was good. I said it was bad.
No, I know.
Yeah, no. I said it was going to be bad. I hope you were ready.
The vibes are good.
The
The
vibes?
commercial's bad.
Immaculate. That commercial, that's a terrible commercial.
Majin taking a look at a Tome of Fandal.
I'll-
Blue. Didn't see the last card.
AB3 for Majin not wanting to overpitch.
Eugene doing a great service to us, indicating that 1 damage has gone through, and he gets to op 1. Is that a blue Aether Spindle? Dadgum, I think it is.
Daggum. Well, let's see if Eugene wants it either in his next hand or to banish off the top with Kano.
Really interesting. I wonder if that is a sideboard slot for the Kano matchup. I don't feel like I typically see the blue spindles too much. I want to ask Eugene about that. Okay, nothing more to report. We are passing priority. Going right back to Majin Bey's turn. Eugene ending with an arsenal from hand.
Tome from Arsenal.
Oh, it's Tome from Arsenal. He's still got a Tome in hand as well.
Threatening now to draw 4 life.
This is interesting here because this might be one of those situations where he pops the Potion of Deja Vu. I feel like it's still a little bit too early, but I mean, if you can get another Tome on top of the deck, that's a lot of extra resources that he could be generating.
He's going to go ahead and draw those 2 cards, gain the life off of the Tome of Findall, pitch that red Aether Spindle away. Go ahead and look to the top,
Oh my
and
goodness.
the Tome of Aetherwind is going to be the answer from Kano here. Draw 2 cards.
If Majin continues to hit blues, there's a lot of resources that he has at his disposal that Eugene simply doesn't. Let's see what the defensive prospects of Eugene's hand are. Oh no, and we find at least 1 red. I
least
saw
one,
Kindle. I
yeah.
think there was another one, wasn't there, Sam?
Yeah, I don't know. At least the 1 Kindle, but we do find a lesson in lava if for Majin here. This is going to come in for 3 and threaten to put any card that Majin wants on the top of the deck if enough damage is dealt.
And a tutor to boot. Majin's got 3 cards in hand, and he's got a pitch stack that is terrifying. I'm sorry, not a pitch stack. A pitch zone that is terrifying to put back on top of the deck. Gaze the Ages. More information fuels the rest of the turn. Tome of Fiendal, drawing more cards. Ostensibly cards that Majin would know are blues after resolving the Gaze the Ages. Aether Spindle, card that gives him even more information. This could be a pretty monstrous turn.
Pass. Take 3.
And this is, I think that might only be 1 blue in Eugene's hand.
Eugene has to just take the 3 here. Majin might be smelling the blood in the water, saying, "Oh, you're taking some chip here, huh?"
But again, it's so tense because Majin, he knows he could be being coaxed into a corner. Eugene knows this matchup, right? And Majin knows that. And Eugene knows that Majin knows that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the vibes are immaculate.
And the vibes are great, and the players are good, and this Aether Quickening is for 2. It's going to be a blue off the top. No search once again from the Lesson on Lava. Both these players are not interested in doing anything but trying to get to that second cycle, it seems. Don't want to shuffle those decks.
It's probably just too risky. Eugene taking a look at the graveyard.
Pass is good. Okay, let me think on my arsenal.
Pass priority, grab an arsenal. Those cards are heading to the bottom of the deck for Majin here. Eugene on 13 to Majin base 23. The life deficit has completely flipped from earlier in the game. 13 life is not a lot to work with if you're Eugene here.
Yeah, and I think the real danger here is that Majin could get Eugene to a point where he just has to go sooner than he wants to. And then Majin can kind of just stem the tide and come back playing action speed Kano. This is, honestly, I've never been so confused but excited at the same time, Sam.
34 minutes left in the round. If I understand correctly, and I never pretend to, but if I understand correctly, in a 7-round event, someone hits 5 and 0, they're locked. They're not going anywhere, right?
I think so.
One of these 2 players most likely is going to go ahead and be locked for the top 8 after a win here. The other one will need to fight to grab 1 more win in the next 2 rounds to make it in, and potentially, one needed in the last round here. But Eugene on his turn trying to make sure that it's just him locked for the top 8. Can you go ahead and banish not only the Gaze the Ages to Kano, but coming with the Scalding Rain with the action point. This is the red variety, so it's coming in for 4.
And it will also turn on the ability to return Gaze the Ages to the hand after the opt and fuel more shenanigans as we proceed forward. Gene taking a sip of the coffee, knowing he is going to need performance-enhancing drugs to get through this match and beyond. Again, 4 arcane damage is the ask. Round 5, battle-hardened San Diego here. A tense moment between 2 wizards of crackling, unstable power.
Going to go ahead and, with the Arcane Barrier, shore up some of that with the Illuvian Constellus. Grab that all-important second counter.
Another power card going into the pitch stone in the form of Aether Wildfire.
Still got that Kindle in the hand. That really changes the math for all these Kano turns. You can see both these players. You have to imagine they're trying to keep track of not only their own pitch stack, but each other's. I literally grabbed a piece of paper but couldn't find a pen. I wanted to write down both players' pitch stacks, so I was trying to do it while cheating, while using a pen and paper, and I still don't. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't find the pen. These players are not only trying to do that, but play the game and win the game at the same time.
You know, it is always it's always so funny to me, Sam, to hear Kano players talk about the game and like try to get you to join the cult of Kano, because every time I see them on stream, especially in mirror matches, they're just looking at each other, and I hear them sigh over and over again, just like, man, it seems like it's more stressful than a job.
You go ahead and, let's see, grab a Kano activation, place it upon the stack, holding the priority here.
Kindle?
That's fine. Yeah.
Kindle's fine. So the Eugene here is going to go ahead and draw a card.
Kindle's active. I'm just going to throw this away. Kano resolves?
Sure.
Kano here going to go ahead and resolve. We're going to look at the top of the deck. It's another red arcane spell. This one, Aether Quickening.
5.
Yeah, Majin is unflappable. I don't think you would be able to read anything on his face if you were Eugene.
Kindle, of course, buffing up this Aether Quickening, giving it an additional, not power, I suppose, but point of arcane potential here.
Oh, it's amped, Sam.
Ooh, which would give it the go again.
Yes,
if
indeed.
If it all hits.
And it is Eugene's turn, so that could be relevant here. Let's take a look at the hand of Majin.
5.
Let's take a look at his shoulder.
I think that's
wouldn't
really
that be good?
nice.
Let's take a look at his shoulder. And
Sporting
the
that
very
metal fab
tops
token
of the
sweater.
cards.
Illuvian?
Luvian Constellus is going to go ahead and bring the Waning Moon across. 2 more damage. Majin Bey wants to keep these cards. Already pitched away another Aether Wildfire.
Kano?
And notice that pretty much every time there's an Illuvian activation and the Waning Moon comes through, these players are taking it.
And a
Oh my goodness.
Tome of Aether went off the top. You can see Majin just kind of do a little head nod because that means
Draw
2
2.
more cards are coming into Eugene's hands here.
We found the Eye of Ophidia, so free information once that thing hits the pitch zone.
In the stack. Opting 2.
In on the stack, going to go ahead and opt 2. Let's see what is on the top of the deck. A Potion of Deja Vu. And I think an Aether Spindle looks like a yellow one.
Ooh, and what is that? A blue in?
I can't tell.
I can't tell either. The vibes tell me blue once again. I guess he wouldn't activate Kano with only 1 floating unless he had another blue in hand. Or I'm sorry. I guess it's just sitting on the stack.
I have Ophidia here, such a powerful card. 2 games in a row, I believe, or one of the 2 most recent games in this tournament where
That's really useful.
Eugene has just gone ahead and grabbed that Eye of Ophidia off of a random draw off the top, and that has just
gonna put
completely
these down real
changed
quick.
everything.
These are
Because
my
if he had tried to Kano, of course, and the Eye of Ophidia is on top, that is just the end of the turn. But finding it off the random draw just changes exactly everything about the turn, and he's able to get so much more optionality and so much more, more ability to go ahead and actually make the turn what he wants.
It also gives your opponent so much information in a Kano mirror when your opponent goes, "Oh, Kano, I'll leave it on top." You know what I mean?
Lower.
It's like,
Yeah.
I think that's your eye.
Yeah, I'll leave it on top. Yeah, exactly.
Eugene looking for inspiration from anywhere else in the room besides down at the playmat.
Both players doing all the math. Both casters holding on for dear life.
I will
Booth, Sam and I are wrapped in each other's arms, sweating profusely.
do 1 top, 1 bottom. Sure.
On top, on bottom is the call on the opt, making sure the right card is on top there.
Kano results.
Let's see what he found.
Plain
Okay.
potion. Sure. If you'll allow it.
Yep, all good.
Majin here has yet to really ask for priority in any of these game actions, allowing Eugene to just continue this long, transcendent turn of wizardly ability.
Pass.
Question is, what is the follow-up going to be? And just as we ask, Eugene answers, we're just going to pass from here. We've gotten Majin all the way down to 16. And now it's time for all of those cards to head to the bottom of the deck. Potion of Deja Vu is going to help out that energy potion. What are the 2 cards that Majin was so interested in keeping?
Now, Eugene's 2 card, I think Eugene had 2 options. He found an Aether Spindle and the Potion of Deja Vu on the top of his deck. I think his options were basically like, try to do a mini damage pop-off, gain a lot of information, ensure that he has a lot of blues for the next turn, or set up a combo piece in the form of the Potion Deja Vu. I think this means that Eugene has taken the safer of those 2 routes, essentially. Here comes Majin with another Tome of Fiendel from Arsenal.
From the Arsenal, and this time Eugene's going to really have a think because there's really only 1 card that Majin knows about that he has access to. He could use those energy potions to try to do some Kanoing off the top, but it looks as though rather than try to make some activations of Kano and do anything on Majin's turn, Eugene is allowing it to resolve. Majin gets to gain his life back up to 19 after drawing those 2 cards.
Because we are definitely getting to that danger zone.
Oh, yeah.
Right, Sam? Even though...
We've been in the danger
We've been in the
zone.
danger
We've
zone.
been in the danger
But because of both of these players, just inherently in their equipment suite, have so much access to AB, it's not even funny. But we're getting to those numbers where you could potentially push through enough damage, even through a good AB6 or AB4, and get there.
Scalding Rain off the top for Majin Bay here. 3 potions to Eugene's 2. Luvian counters for Eugene are on 1 to Majin Bay's 2, which could change everything if those 2 counters eventually are able to get that Waning Moon to do the final piece of damage. It's going to be the Scalding Rain blue here, pitching away the energy potion. So Majin Bay wanting to try to chip through Eugene just a little bit more. Scalding Rain blue, not the most powerful arcane spell out there, but need to do every little bit of damage you can.
Eugene has the opportunity now to just pitch 1 blue and cover up what will likely be the entirety of Majin's turn, because he can do that, plus cover up the Waning Moon. He could also just... Oh, it is a yellow Aether Spindle. He could also just have taken that and seen if Majin, yes, used those floating resources for the Waning Moon, perhaps use that as an opportunity to get through some damage. But Eugene says no. We're still slow playing this. We're still going for the inevitable game plan.
These 2 players have played so many of these Kano mirrors, more than 99% of Flesh and Blood players, I would hazard. They're showing a lot of that experience here. Going to go ahead and AB3 for Majin in the face of this Scalding Rain for 4.
It's been a lot of hot rain going back and forth. Both of these players just firing hot shower heads at one another.
Wow, I thought you were about to say something else. I was like...
Oh, no, certainly not.
You said hot. I was like, rice! Waning Moon now coming across. 2 more damage. Looks like Majin's going to go ahead and allow the pass priority from there. Eugene doing a lot of holding 1 card in hand. That's something that Eugene's doing that Majin hasn't done as much. Majin's been had a little more penchant to just say, like, I have 2 floating and no cards in hand, or 1 card that might head to the arsenal.
It's interesting. It must do with the context of their hands. I mean, in my experience playing against Kano, that's something that
You got a couple more of
us
those.
normal heroes and classes have to do a lot against him, just in case he decides to
It's
go
all
for
free.
the big
They're
arcane damage on your turn.
2 floating, that could go into the Waning Moon for Majin here. Does have 2 cards in hand, so might be looking to do another Kano off the top.
Eugene really having to think here.
Ooh, we got the Wildfire in the hand.
That might be is that a tome?
Tome, yeah, Tome is the second to last card. I think Aether Dart, and then 2 tomes. I think Tome of Aether
Yeah,
win.
Tome of Aether win.
Tome of Find All, Aether Dart.
This is another opportunity to use that Potion of Deja Vu. Again, and it's a Kindle and Arsenal.
Oh, wow.
This is another moment where Eugene will probably want to wait until he sees whether or not Majin will use those floating resources to pay for the Waning Moon rather than the Alluvian Constellus. And he has been doing that quite a bit this game, Sam. But we've been talking about these energy potions as well as combo pieces. They're also shields against what your opponent is trying to do.
Yeah,
so
good point.
you can use them offensively or defensively. Basically, in Majin's case, if Eugene were to pop off here and go for the Aether Wildfire, he's basically got AB4 just sitting on the battlefield to say, I'm not going to let you get multiplicative damage this turn. No sirree, Bob.
5, huh? Yeah.
5 life for Eugene, passing priority. Majin Bay did utilize those Alluvian counters to come in for 2 more damage, keeping 2 floating.
Pass is good.
Eugene says pass is good. We're going to see some action speed Kano here.
Our 2 top seeded players so far here in the tournament. Table 1, 2 Kanos, 4 and 0. This is to punch the ticket confirmed into the top 8. Energy potion off the top. Such a unique game of Flesh and Blood when
Indeed
you watch
so.
the Kano mirrors.
Comes
It
to
is
play
it's back and forth. They're throwing punches, they're taking licks. No response to the energy
Even
potion.
on the potions.
We are even on potions, not quite on life, but
Not quite, but
I'll
it
take
is
it.
your turn. You got a lot of cards.
true. That's a good point.
Both players positing with one another.
My action point will be tell. Draw 2.
Not a bad action point, indeed.
That's fine.
Okay.
We've still got the Tome of Fiendal in the hand. Perhaps Eugene is going to try to find... You probably don't get to put it in Arsenal because your Arsenal currently is a Kindle. In order to maximize the value on Kindle, you have to empty your hand, which would probably mean putting it in the pitch. Perhaps again another opportunity for the Potion of Deja Vu.
Let's see how Eugene wants to continue this turn here.
I do not envy either of these players at this moment.
I'm going to overpitch to Kano.
Overpitch to Kano.
This could be the telltale sign that we're going for the Potion of Deja Vu.
Yeah, Aether Spindle, Aether Wildfire, and Voltic Bolt headed to the pitch zone. 2 resources floating.
Last card in hand must be that Tome of Fiendal.
Off the top to the Kano. What's the answer, Eugene? What have you got for us?
We've got to be able to see it.
Oh,
you
the
sneaky Pete.
tension continues. The mystery maintains ever longer. It's an Aether Dart.
It's a blue Aether Dart.
Blue Aether Dart.
Oh, well.
The Aether Dart comes across from the top of the deck, coming in for 1 damage.
1. For 1 Alluvian Constellus counter on Majin-based chess piece.
See,
Are they energy counters, Sam?
Yep.
Do you remember?
they are energy counters. Yeah, so all the cards that can remove an energy counter, they do affect Alluvian Constellus. Yeah.
Mhm. It's always made me wonder if the Kano mirror is the time to bring that in. Of course, I guess it's
look for your
difficult because
graveyard.
all of those cards require you to push the arcane damage.
Mhm.
Maybe that's something we're going to see more in Rosetta because we've seen so many amped spoilers, as
Yeah.
it were.
Very well may be. Eugene here having that thing. 40 minutes elapsed so far in the round. 19 minutes remaining. That is a live timer. The players can see that as well at their table. They know they have about 20 minutes remaining. Eugene taking a moment, looking up to the sky for aid,
Yeah, 5 pro.
seeing if any higher power can come down and tell him just how all the math works out.
Not a lot to do.
I've seen Eugene in this situation so many times. Oftentimes I'm sitting across the table from him. I've seen him completely fizzle in this moment and continue to banish blue Aether Darts off the top of the deck. I've also seen him just happen to find an Aether Wildfire and clench out the most ridiculous victory I've ever seen. So even though he's looking a little bit stressed, there's no counting him out of this turn, this game.
1 damage coming across the table. 2 wizards hurling their arcane spells at each other from across the arena. Let's see which one will leave but cindering waste in their dust. 1 damage on to Majin Bay's life total. He's down to 15, 10 life up on Eugene, who's on 5 here. But both players are 4-0.
Interesting that Majin goes ahead and takes this, perhaps telegraphing that he would like to do something at the end of Eugene's turn if he will be allowed.
Alluvian?
Yep. So it's important to note we see the Alluvian activation a lot for these players in these situations where they have 2 floating, and they suspect that their opponent has something they would like to do at the end of their turn. Rather than using the 2 resources floating, Eugene would rather keep that up as a shield and use the resource on his chess piece to eke out some extra damage.
Somewhat incentivizes Majin here to not do if that little thing, whatever he wants to do, because then Eugene gets to utilize those resources for something. Instead, we're going to use the, looks got to be the Eye of Ophidia proxy to come in with an Aether Flare, a little Aether Wildfire mini version. This is going to be pitched and immediately
Do you
go
want to
ahead
am I opting?
and opt
I
to.
may. Sorry, 1 sec.
Eugene is going to go ahead and take a look at the hand and see if he wants to do any responses before the actual Eye of
you're good.
Ophidia pitch trigger resolves. The answer is no. Let's see what Majin wants to opt here.
It is Majin Bay's turn here in round 5 of 7, Battle Hardened San Diego. A very tense wizard brawl going down before our very eyes.
That's talent.
Yeah.
I believe top
Very
was the
true.
call, and that's why Majin's saying that's talent.
Yeah. Never feels
Believe it or
good. when
not,
the
I
Kano
don't.
opponent-
You know, I can't really afford taking too much damage here. So,
Player's pretty good.
yeah.
Okay, Flare does not connect because Eugene says block 3.
AB3 on the flare. Majin doesn't get any buff on the next thing he plays. He's going to go ahead and activate Kenny here. Let's see what was on the top. It's a nice little lesson in lava. That's coming in for 3 arcane damage as
Pretty
well
decent card.
and threatens that surge. Both players here just casually chatting about how good all their cards are. Kano players are either like, dude, why do you think, how do I win? My cards all suck.
Another.
They're all underrate. Like, how do I do this?
Uh-huh.
Or they're like, oh, this card's so good.
They're also so humble, aren't they? They're just like, yeah, I play Kano. Yeah, I banished an Aether Wildfire off the top. Yeah, this class takes no talent. Meanwhile, we're all sitting here like,
could never.
How do you, how do you Kano? Another Kano player in Peter Budensic, hanging out, watching this mirror match. Ryan Brown has since gone and gotten lunch. Figures he'll save some energy before the next round. However, P2 Budensic is holding strong. Watching on his teammate Majin Bay.
I hope
takes on
for
this
his sake
intense
that does
mirror matchup.
not catch on.
I apologize, Peter.
Hey, yo, what's up, P2?
It's just my my tired tongue.
Both players here. You can see Eugene giving a little shake of the head because even though no player has done a huge turn here, Eugene has now fallen to such a life total that he is just unable to, take the damage.
And it's unfortunate, too, because
Activate
he
Deja Vu.
can't block out the lesson in lava without
4 bullets.
telegraphing to
It's
Majin
three.
that
So
he's
this is-
got
this
reds
is
in
the
hand.
proxy.
So he had to show him 2 reds.
Just for the camera.
Got it. Got it.
So it's just these.
I also love that Majin's got his deck pimped out to the 9s, except for that proxy Eye of Ophidia.
Yeah, doesn't want to be shuffling that bad boy. Looks
Mhm.
like we're going to have a Potion of Deja Vu activation here for Majin, so we're going to put those 3 cards pitched back on top. And the Tome of Aetherwind was the second card that was topped to the pitch from the Eye of Ophidia.
And you got to get this right, because if Eye of Ophidia is going back to the top of your deck and you accidentally banish it to Kano, ugh.
Right him up the top.
Pass.
Surely he put the eye on top.
Kano.
Oh, went for the potion.
Hadn't played the potion here, so that's going to get
Draw 2.
just going to grab the Eye of
There we
Ophidia
go.
with
Yeah,
the
1 float.
2 draw on the Tome of Aetherwind. 1 float, no cards in hand here. Eugene, couple of energy potions, card in the arsenal, card in the hand.
Yeah, of course he's not going to put the eye on top because he knows he's going to draw 2 off the tome. And then get actual information when he pitches the Eye of Ophidia.
Eugene here, you can see not counting his deck because he's worried about how many cards are left. This is him figuring out exactly what cards are coming up in his pitch stack.
No, Sam, I think Eugene is concerned about this going to fatigue.
You think so? Then I take that back. Then that's on me, I'm always just striving to be a better and better broadcaster. And I appreciate the insight, my dog.
No, right you are, Sam. Eugene is making sure that he has reached his pitch stack. We're seeing if he has, I suppose.
Majin, you're going to go ahead. Draw those 2 cards here. Only 13 minutes remaining in the round timer. This has been a back and forth, honestly, nail biter of a Kano mirror. To pitch in, this is just 2 more from the Waning Moon, but now all of a sudden that's half of Eugene's life total. It's not as simple as earlier in the game when these players are able to just take a couple licks, throw a bit of damage, because Majin has been able to navigate himself off the backs of 2
Such a potent.
Tome of Findals and 2 Wounded Bulls. That's been the real difference in this game between these 2 Kano players.
And the more cards he strips out of Eugene's hand, the less Eugene has for the clawback on his turn.
And of course, you take all the cards out of Eugene's hand.
It's over.
When Majin, when
It's
it goes
over,
back
baby.
to Majin's turn, he's going to go ahead and utilize the Storm Strider to just close this out. So Eugene kind of stuck between a Kano and a hard place here.
Because Kano just operates in all matchups on a different axis. Yeah, sure, he starts with 10 less life, but he basically gets 2 turns at the end of the game whenever he chooses. And if he can put together
Potion.
No response.
the amazing turn that we know he can, then, well, who cares about having 10 less life when you're doing thousands of damage?
Aether Quickening here, going to go ahead and get it A-beat as much as possible. Eye of Ophidia off the top to, Eye of Ophidia in the pitch zone, card off the top to the Kano, and that is most likely going to potentially close out this game unless Eugene is able to shore it up with the energy potion. Even so, I'm not sure that'll be enough.
No, indeed. Aether Quickening gonna connect for 2 if it's blocked for 2. Oh, Eugene in the tank.
If it's a Kindle in the arsenal,
It is a
maybe
Kindle,
that's
so
what
he
he's
could
thinking, yeah.
play the Kindle, draw the card.
This is so late. This is so sad.
Yeah.
It doesn't even matter. Deja vu potion.
Is it Kindle? Hold on, let me think.
Sure.
Kindle, Majin would like to think about this.
What does Majin have? He has no resource. Oh, he's got the energy, potion,
potions,
so
yeah,
he
you
could.
can Kano off the top.
You could in
Yeah,
theory choke me out.
he did.
He
He
pops.
did. I have Ophidia. I can't remember if he
No,
put
this
the second card back on
Should be able
top.
to do 2 damage off the top. I'm guessing.
I can do 2 damage off the top.
I
but then
think-
you
I bet
block
you
it with
can.
Your E-pot,
Quickening's going to come in after.
which you have a blue for. So you go to 1.
I love it because you can tune into the mics. Basically, both of these players are playing each other's side of the board the entire game, and now they're just putting words to it. What's been going on in their head this whole time?
That gets blocked. Go ahead and
that-
draw off your Kindle.
2 E-Pots going to go ahead and be cashed in. Scalding Rain off the top is going to be blocked with the energy potion, and then the blue from the Kindle is going to go ahead
I'm
and
gonna
actually
probably
AB
find
the
something.
Aether
to switch
Quickening.
it.
Eugene Galipchak is going to go down to 1 because he can only AB 3 of the
Oh my
4,
gosh,
and then
whose
now
turn was it?
That was.
this
Mike.
was
That
Yes,
was your
correct,
turn.
Majin.
This was
That
Majin.
is your turn.
So I'm gonna go ahead and draw.
literally even the Kano players not knowing exactly whose turn it was as Eugene says, "Oh my God, that was your turn."
Yeah.
And then now Storm Striders here, the Aether Spindle, that'll close out the game. Majin Bay still remaining
Oh, man,
on
Winded
top of
Bulls.
Wizard Mountain. The Wizard
Fantastic, yeah.
Council's
Especially in
leader
the-
is remaining undefeated here in this tournament, 5-0, and definitely locked for the top 8 of the San Diego Battle Hardened.
Kudos to Majin Bay for getting through that slog of a game. That is
I know there's like a pretty
just so
standard
intense
list.
to watch, Sam.
Yeah, back and forth. I think the Wounded Bulls and the Toma Finals were the difference, and maybe even just the Bulls in general, right? You send 2 cards for 8. That's just something that's not as easy for the
You're
Kano
fine.
to do in
Yeah,
other
I
ways.
will watch your stuff.
Well, congratulations to Majin Bay, and of course Eugene still going to be fighting it out in the top tables for quite some time. We got a lot of Kanos out there, folks, but we do have the Riptides, we do have the Prisms that are also making waves over there, trying to get into the top 8, and of course the News, the Zens, all the classic
The
mainstays.
Wounded
One
Bulls.
thing we haven't seen on stream yet, and honestly I haven't even seen very many at the tables, tied with Kano for the 3rd most represented deck, Levia.
That's
Where are
true.
the Levias?
That's true, and they
Yeah.
were around. I think a lot of them have
I was
have
hoping
sunk to
that-
the depths, unfortunately, and been the catapult that has shot
Yeah.
Riptide back up to the top
I
tables.
don't know if you're feeling this. It's getting hot from over here.
It definitely
I'm
is.
feeling heat.
I'm feeling a little bit of heat.
Yeah,
Some,
let
like,
me
crackling wizard.
Let me get out of
potential.
here because I'm feeling someone.
Are
Just,
you a little too hot?
I'm a little too hot. Hold on.
Okay.
Just watch this.
Kind of sweltering.
I'm gonna do a
here,
magic
actually. Okay. Well, Sam's gonna go do a magic trick. Oh my gosh, Sam has become Majin Bay. Welcome to the booth, Majin Bay.
Thank you.
Sam, whoever the heck are. Is it your turn or is it my turn?
No one knows in Wizard Mirrors.
Yeah, you guys were having a little bit of confusion towards the end of that match as well, huh?
Yeah, sometimes we actually have to have a token to
Yeah.
show, and we push it back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You made that a lot easier on us. You
Yeah.
made us feel a little bit better here in the booth. So we had a bit of interesting tech in your deck that was very much absent from Eugene's, and we kind of think that it was the linchpin that helped you close out that game, and that was Wounded Bull. How did you
I think
feel
would
about?
agree with you.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. How did you feel about the performance of that card there?
They're good. I mean, they do what they're supposed to do. It does what it says on the card.
Yeah.
And that's really good when you only have 30 life, you know?
And I mean, when the most important thing about being a card game player is, being able to read. As you put in your player profile, that's a
One
really
day I'll
important
get
point.
there.
Well, you've certainly read Wounded Bull and understand what it does. So for a lot of us, including those of us in the booth, there's a lot of mysticism about Kano mirrors.
Yeah.
They go on way longer than normal Kano matchups, and they seem to really hinge on, like all Kano matches, resources. The resources on your Alluvian, resources in hand, etc. So walk us through like a basic, give the audience a basic understanding of how Kano matches.
You want me to sum
Go.
up the Kano mirror in a
Yeah,
couple
yeah,
of
yeah.
sentences?
Just give me the elevator pitch of a Kano
Sure,
mirror.
okay. Generally, there's 2 ways to play it. You either play fast and loose and try to kill your opponent and squeeze their resources, or you stack a combo that they can't deal with. Usually, people play some kind of hybrid of the 2, and that's what we were doing over here, was that we both had stacks we really wanted to get to. If the game goes long, we both have, like, giga combos. And if it doesn't, then it's going to be kind of whoever gets lowest on life first. So you really have to thread the needle and walk the line between like making sure you're still solid in second cycle and not letting your opponent get what they want, right? Because if they're at 20 life, then they're just going to be like, oh, I'll just take all this damage and then I'll combo kill you.
And we saw Eugene on that last turn. I believe it was the last turn where he played out that Kindle. He was counting up his deck and seeing if he was at his stack yet. Were you guys at your stacks?
No,
I don't think
he was
so.
closer than me, but I was still about 2 to 3 hands away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, I mean, you were smelling blood in the water right after he went down to 5. We heard you on the mic go, 5 life, interesting.
Good.
yeah, not bad at all.
Yeah.
And it's also it seemed like it was hinging a lot about the resources you had on board too, because it's like if you can it seemed like you were trying on that last turn to just make Eugene use all of the resources he had on board defensively rather than offensively.
Yeah. And then there's like a bit of a interesting spot there because it looks like I'm so far ahead, and I am. But the issue is it's Kano.
Yeah.
And if they just press the button and hit Tome and to some good stuff, you could just die.
You get out of
So you're
control.
sitting there and you're like, okay, but if they hit Tome on top, and then it's another red, how do I prepare for that?
Yeah.
How do I steal their resources the best way? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really fun. It's a lot of like in your head trying to outthink. You feel like two wizards trying to outthink each other.
Exactly.
Like, that's why I love it so much.
And it's so funny listening to you two basically playing each other's side of the board together. It almost feels like even though you're killing Eugene, you guys are like working together to make it happen.
We're
in a
all
way.
Kano players, we're all one group.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, oh, hey, you got a Patreon now, don't you?
I do, yeah. So if you want to learn how to play the Kano mirror, I just put out like a 30-page written guide
Oh my
on how to
goodness.
play Kano on my Patreon, yeah.
So are we going to have even more Kanos than we do now in Southern California?
If you start seeing wounded bulls pop up, then
Yeah.
you'll be like, I know who did that.
I'll know who sent you, yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Absolutely. That was an amazing match to watch, man. It's the other thing I wanted to touch on, I can't remember. Is there anything else you wanted to say about that match in particular?
No, that was really fun. I mean, my opponent played well. It's just such a good time.
Mhm.
There's always like a lot of worry because you never know what can come off the top
Right.
for you or them, right? But yeah, that was a good time.
And I mean, you knew that Eugene had the potion of deja vu there.
Mhm.
Oh, I know what I wanted to ask. That last turn, were you thinking about that being kind of the not kill turn, obviously, but the setup kill turn once you saw Eugene pitch those 2 reds?
Yeah, so once I saw the reds pitched, basically like the last 2 turns, I had to decide, do I want to try to kill my opponent now and be like 95%,
Mhm.
or do I want to squeeze harder? And so what I try to do is I try to set up lethal and then lethal again.
Exactly.
That way, if I set up lethal and they miracle off the top, I can still kill them.
Mhm.
And that's the position I found myself in.
And yeah, so that was a tough situation for Eugene because he's sitting with a bunch of reds in hand, which is something that everybody in the audience can sympathize with
Yeah.
when you're sitting across
Except
from
it's
Kano.
worse.
It's worse, right? So if he had, say, popped his E-Pod instead, would that have given you a different signal, or is that a telltale sign as well?
I mean, I think it's the same sign. The issue is like I'm not deciding to combo, right? Like
Mhm,
I'm just
exactly.
I'm devoting very little resources to push my opponent a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more to slowly drain them of resources.
Mhm.
Because like, oh, I can't go off, he still has 3 cards and 2 resources. Oh, I can't go off, he still has, 2 full cards, even though they're like pitching slowly.
Right.
So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to like steal a little bit of resources, and then you can push harder and harder as the turn goes on.
Yeah.
So crack E-Pod or no, it probably would have been the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah, and you could see it on Eugene's face, the sweat on his brow, because
Yeah,
it's
it
like
was
I
not the
basically
best
have
spot
to
to be
tell
in.
him he has the green light, right?
Yeah.
Which is something you never want to tell Kano.
No.
The last thing I want to ask about is the Illuvian Constellus. We saw a lot of interesting play where you're playing on your action phase, you send something with 2 floating, usually overpitching with a red, and then rather than using those 2 resources for the Waning Moon, that's the point where you deploy the Illuvian. Usually, I'm guessing, when you're smelling that your opponent wants to do something at the end of your turn, or is at least thinking about it.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to you really have to, like I was mentioning, you got to toe the line, because if you're not willing to die some of the time,
Mhm.
then you're going to play way too low tempo, and your opponent will take advantage of that, and you'll just be behind. And I think that's kind of what you saw in that game, was that I was playing a little bit more on the edge. And so I was able to eke out a life lead plus bull. Does a lot
Yeah.
of damage. And so, yeah, it's really tough. You have to kind of know. And that's where a lot of the fun of the Kano mirror is like, everyone who plays Kano usually has a ton of Kano experience. So you're
Well-
I would want a combo here.
Exactly.
So I can't tap out.
Right, you are. And thank you so much for all the insight. It was a blast to watch. You convinced me that the Kano Mirror is one heck of a match.
Nice.
And a lot of fun to watch.
Nice.
And maybe I'll pick it up. Maybe I'll read that 30-page
Yeah,
guide one
there's
of
a
these
lot
days.
of words on there.
And for somebody that is at least semi-literate like me, I can definitely handle 30 pages.
There you go.
Well, thank you so much, Majin. Best of luck in the rest of the tournament. I think you may be locked for top 8. I won't, speak to that. Don't quote me on it, but I think this has been a great day for you, and I
It's
hope
been
it
good.
continues to be. We're very glad to have you. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be back with more Flesh and Blood after this. Don't go anywhere.